You're listening to the Roofing Success Podcast, a show created to inspire roofing contractors to achieve optimal success in their roofing businesses. I'm the host, Jim Moline, the co-author of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. I'm also the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, the digital marketing agency for the roofing industry. On each episode, I'll be sitting down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in roofing. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. As always, if I have to tell you again, really, please follow, share, subscribe, review, like, all of that stuff, right? All of that stuff. And if you want to continue the conversation beyond what you're hearing on the podcast, go to Facebook, type in Roofing Success, and join the Roofing Success Facebook group. There's some changes happening in the world, and I think that this is already going on, right? There's some momentum behind this, and I think that the companies that do not adapt are going to fall behind. And that's why I brought my friend Kevin Lee on the show today. He is a video strategist, videographer that we work with. And I think that there is a truth in the world today that if you are not contributing video content, especially in your business, that you're going to start losing ground, right? What do you think, Kevin?
100%. I feel like if you're not even attempting to do video, you might as well just pack it up and go home, because everybody's doing video today. And that's the thing, is like kids are literally born with phones in their hands, with cameras in their hands. The technology has put information in our faces at warp speed, and that includes video.
And that's how people consume, right? You used to see a lot of static posts on Facebook. You used to see a lot of just images, right? Instagram used to just be images. Now it's more, probably more. I don't know the actual statistics of it, but I know when I'm scrolling through my Instagram feed, I'm stopping on videos. I'm watching the stories, right? There's things that I'm engaging with. And then let's not even, mention TikTok, where it is all short form video. So for our audience, just to give them a little background and understand who I am Kevin Lee is. Introduce yourself, brother.
Well, hello. I'm Kevin Lee, and I am a content creator. I wasn't always a content creator. As a matter of fact, I was a personal trainer for about 20 years before I actually decided to get into video. And the way I started creating video content was I was starting to serve up workouts on video for my clients, my existing clients. When they would travel, I would just send them videos of workouts I wanted them to do. So I would just go through the workouts, demonstrate, explain it, and send it off to them. And that helped me a lot, because I wanted to make sure that I was able to inform, educate, entertain my clients when they weren't with me in person. And that was the best way to do it, because other trainers would kind of write something out, email it to them, and that'd be it, which is fine. But I wanted to make sure that I still was able to deliver an experience to the clients that weren't with me in person. One day I decided, I'm going to do more than that. I'm going to start filming YouTube videos about Spartan races. So I started getting into that. And all of a sudden I started getting hundreds of thousands of views and comments and engagement. And then eventually I got monetized. So I started getting paid to make YouTube content. Albeit though, that content was really garbage, and I got so much hate. I mean, it was so bad. Like, as many likes as I got, I almost got double the dislikes, and then the comments and the trolling and stuff. Well, eventually I decided to hang up the personal trainer shirt, t-shirt, shorts, and shoes, and just decided, let's make some video content. And all of a sudden I got picked up by a brand that wanted to produce YouTube content, podcasts, and the whole nine. So I started traveling with this company all around the world and producing their content. And then next thing you know, I'm starting to produce some of their ads and their commercials and some of the really cool stuff where we are shooting on location in like Beverly Hills in some mansion with all the lights and the cameras and hot fitness models and the whole nine. And I realized there's a lot to be said about just being a content creator and doing these things, but you also need the strategy behind it. And a lot of brands don't have that strategy. They don't necessarily even have the budget to be able to hire fitness models and camera equipment, camera and filming teams and the lighting and the $1,000 Airbnb locations and mansions and stuff. But it doesn't mean that they still don't want to create content and keep relevant in their space and be part of the conversation.
And we met because part of that journey of yours, you started doing this for contractors, for different types of contractors. And we met through a mutual friend who is another digital marketing agency owner. And I loved the foundational work that you do up front and just the process that you take people through to create that content and that the visual brand experience through video, expressing their brand and their core values and what differentiates them in the market. And then what was fun though is at the end of like these video shoots that you've done is you start to train the team on this like less produced, just like off the cuff kind of cool stuff, and give them and you've given them these contractors that we've worked with you on this framework, like to start developing this video content for themselves. And I think that's such an important part of producing content or becoming a content creator, is starting with a framework and then just kind of, so you have that kind of put the puzzle pieces together, fill in the blanks here, and out the other side pops this cool little thing. And it was real interesting because, you know, we're out on these shoots, these real cool cameras and lighting and mics and all this cool stuff. And then at the end, we're just shooting these little 1-minute videos, right? And so maybe speak to that a little bit and why maybe I guess how people think that sometimes people think that, you know, for their company, if they're going to do this for their company, they're going to spend the tens of thousands of dollars. They're going to have this video crew come in and, you know, and produce this, you know, masterpiece. But that's not always the case. That's not always the solution, right?
Right. You're dead on. And that's the thing. Like, look, I have this camera right here. This is a $4,000 body, a $1,500 lens, a $300 microphone, and it does exactly the same thing that my iPhone can do. Except the fact is that iPhone can do so much more. Yeah. And so for the longest time, I would show up on location to shoot all this stuff and produce it, take the time to edit it, do this just banger of a video for Instagram doing a commercial for Instagram. And I would launch it, push it out there. And I'm like, okay, it's going to totally crush. Like the views are going to be crazy. The likes are going to go through the roof. The comments are going to be just all over the place. It's going to be amazing. This is going to be the best thing on the planet. And I'll get a couple hundred likes, some comments. And even the people who knew that I shot, and they're like, dude, that's the best thing I've ever seen. Cool. And then my client will go and shoot something for like 30 seconds on location, showing the behind the scenes. He's like, check this out. This is what we're doing today. Several thousand likes, several thousand comments, and all this other stuff. And I'm like, dude, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? And that irked me for the longest time. And I realized after a while, I had to take a step back and say, okay, there's something to this. And if I don't get ahead of this, and if I don't take advantage of this opportunity here to learn from these experiences, I'm going to do my clients a disservice. because I'm so committed to hanging on to the several $1,000 camera with all the technology and the lighting and the cool stuff, that I'm forgetting that it's all about the engagement. It's all about the ROI. It's all about keeping them relevant and really making it so that they can still do it themselves, that they're empowered to do this kind of stuff. Because most of these business owners they're usually scared away by this kind of stuff. They're not good in front of the camera because they're not used to being in front of the camera. However, if they're on a family vacation, they'll do a selfie with their kid and like running down the beach, and there's tons of engagement.
Yeah.
So it's taking the complexities of creating content, taking all that out and just simplifying by saying, hey, this is something that you use on a regular basis. You take videos with this, you take photos with this already. Why not leverage what you're already doing and apply it to your business? And let's not overcomplicate the process. Let's keep it to just a couple categories of kind of content that you're going to make. Do 1 or 2 a day, just 1 minute to 2 minutes a day. I'm sure you could do that if you're gonna be scrolling through Instagram or Facebook or TikTok anyway for hours. You might as well just spend 1 minute or 2 actually shooting something.
Yeah, and that's where the value is. And one of the things that you talked about in creating that professional video versus, some of the just off the cuff, cell phone videos, being a marketer, you don't know what's going to hit sometimes, right? So Gary Vaynerchuk is a big kind of with his content strategy. I've been following him for a decade now almost, and I loved one of the things that he talks about is that you could create things so much more personable and quick. And if you're out in a neighborhood and you're down in the DFW, the mecca of roofing, like hey, I'm out here in Louisville where the storm came through, and this is what's going on, and this is how we're helping the community and helping the homeowners in this area. And a lot of times that will hit and connect on such a different level than that real cool professional video with the drone footage and that. And not that doesn't have a place, it does.
Right.
And it's also important to their business, to their businesses, to their roofing businesses. So those of you listening, both are important, but one is a big process. There's a lot more work that goes into it, and a lot more time and energy and money that gets committed to the big shoot without knowing exactly how that's going to land with the people on the other end.
100%.
Whereas you pull this thing out, you get to test your conversation with your perfect customer instantly.
Yep.
Right. It's just totally. It is such a faster feedback loop to get that data to what is engaging to your perfect customer. It's challenging. And I know that's what we were talking about the other day, is how really videographers really don't want you to know about this almost, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I would show up with a ton of gear, do the edit, spend hours on this stuff. And again, the client just posts something random about something random, and their engagement goes through the roof.
Yeah.
And it's, however, I would say that a videographer, if they really know the value of that vertical video content, they'll take advantage of that. And if they have a client who's just crushing it and knows how to do it, imagine the chemistry between the videographer and that client, because the client already has it. They already have it dialed in. They already know what to do. They already know how to talk to a camera. It's just a different lens. That's all it is. And even coaching a client through the conversation or what to say and how to say it and all, it becomes a lot easier. And so for the videographer, they can still be creative. They still have their role. And the client is going to be happy because they know what they need to say. They know how to say it. And they know, on top of that, if it's already working on mobile, imagine when it's polished with
Yeah.
proper lighting and camera and the drone and the whole nine. So it's
Yeah.
a win-win for everybody when the business owner invests in the time creating vertical video content.
Yeah. And that's to a good point too, is reps, right?
Yeah.
It's reps, right? The more times you speak on camera, like the reason that I feel that I got good at public speaking was I was a corporate trainer for a company in the mid 2000s, like before 2010, like that mid range back then, dating myself a little bit. But I did 6 training presentations a week in front of a live audience. And there was a point where it was like corporate would send over a PowerPoint presentation and I wouldn't even look at it. I would just load it on the machine and talk, because I got so good at how I knew my material for one. And then I got good at the presentation of that material in those scenarios. So those reps, right? That I did that
Absolutely.
for a few years, man. And that's what got those reps in. And now I feel so comfortable in having the conversations on this podcast, on stage at the IRE, or at, Win the Storm or RoofCon or wherever it is, or on a webinar, or, I feel so comfortable. And that's not where people start though.
No.
I failed,
So,
Kevin, I'm going to tell you a little secret about myself. I failed public speaking 3 times in college.
oh my.
3 times. I passed the 4th.
Why did you keep going back?
Yeah, I like punishment. I don't know. Like, but that's the thing, right? It's like you don't have to be good at it at first, right? And so, but let's jumpstart people, right? Let's jumpstart people on this episode. What we want to do today, and why I brought Kevin on here, is to give you guys that jumpstart, that framework, right? So first, let's talk about like the common problems, common approach to this, maybe some of the frustrations that they have, things like that. And so,
Sure.
that they're not alone.
Yep. So you're absolutely right. When it comes to creating video, it's a tough thing to get into, especially if you didn't grow up doing this and it's not your thing, or you didn't go to college or school and you weren't born with a camera in front of your face. It's just not your thing. So most people really just don't know where to start. They don't know what kind of equipment to buy. They don't know what kind of camera to get, what kind of lighting. They don't know what to say in front of the camera. You turn on you press the record button and you instantly freeze. It's a big challenge. Most people will end up going and hiring a videographer, or they think they have to hire a videographer because maybe the videographer knows what they need to do. Sometimes that's not the case though. Or just the fact that these businesses just want to focus on what they're already good at, their business. They don't have the time, the resources, or even the budget to hire a full-time production team and really kick this thing off. And so the common approach would be, maybe they'll bite the bullet and they'll hire a videographer with an expensive camera, like an 8K Red that's like a $40,000 camera, which in my opinion is like, why? Why do you want to use this crazy expensive camera that's only going to be shooting something that's going to be posted on social media anyway? So the compression, the image isn't going to be great unless you're shooting a full-length feature Netflix film.
Yeah.
And you're trying to sell it to them. You don't need anything that expensive. They'll hire that videographer, shoot a few marketing videos. They'll shoot a few commercials. They might do a couple of testimonials and spend thousands of dollars easily on doing this. And ultimately, without a strategy, without a plan, without a clear path on what's going to happen with these videos, it all ends up falling short. You waste thousands of dollars and you don't quite get the engagement you want. You get frustrated. You start to question your actions. You start to question yourself. You're like, I suck in front of the camera. This is the reason why it failed. The videographer sucks. Nobody knows what they're doing. Video is not the way to go. I'm just going to stick with what I already know. I'm just going to keep grinding it out, right? During the slow seasons, I'm just going to keep passing out flyers. I'm going to put somebody out in the street and they're just going to hand out flyers around the corner and stuff, and we'll see what happens. Or go door to door knocking. Those wasted work, But if you really want the best bang for your buck, you really still need to commit to doing video content on social media. So what are you really supposed to do here? So you could avoid it at all costs and hope that, business will work fine. You could have somebody else doing it for you, like hiring a full-time videographer. Good luck with that. Or you could get into the practice of shooting vertical video content yourself using today's framework. And today's framework, we're going to call this the vertical video stack.
I like it.
You
Let's
ready to get
give it to
started?
them. Yeah, let's
All
give
right.
it to them, man. I think
Boom.
they need this.
Yeah. So we're going to start with something extremely simple. It's called the scroll stopper. Okay. The best thing about this is you don't even have to talk. You don't have to even put yourself in front of the camera. You don't have to say anything. It's just find something that you do in your business. So if you're a roofer, one thing I found on TikTok was it was just a single video of this guy putting down shingles with a nailer. He was just like, tat, 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 tat. Set another one up, tat, 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 tat. And it was just the fastest thing I've ever seen. And I didn't understand why. I kept watching it. And I think it was like 3 minutes straight. The guy was just like on this flow. He was on his flow state. And that video alone had 1.7 million views. And I want to say it was 567,000 likes. It's all your fault too, by the way, Jim. It's all your fault because you got me into TikTok, watching TikTok videos and following the world's greatest roofer, right?
Shout out
and
TJ. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And so now my feed is just full of his stuff and roofing stuff, which is great because I'm learning and I'm into it. But it took no production, no fancy videographer, no editor. It was instant. The guy just shot it, didn't stop shooting it, just kept it in vertical mode, and then posted it right away. And then just, I think all he added as a headline was, can you lay shingles faster than this guy? That was it. Now imagine if you took that same video because you knew that video was doing really well on TikTok and you just threw some ad spend on that on Facebook. Guaranteed that video is going to do just as well. So the scroll stopper. So what you need to know about the scroll stopper is these are also known as oddly satisfying videos. They're static. There's a start point and there's a finish. So it has to be something that you set up and it has to pay itself off at the end. So something as simple as cooking an egg. Put a camera or put a phone right over the top, crack the egg into the pan and let it sizzle, flip it, and it's done. That is starting it from start to finish. And people watch this stuff. It's insane. People will stop and next it'll stop the scroll, get them watching and keep them engaged. And then it's I want to say it's kind of orgasmic because it finishes. So yeah. So it requires you to do something that has a beginning and an end, and then there's a pattern, there's a repetition to it. So think about what it is that you do in your roofing business that has some sort of pattern, and then just keep the camera on, let the contractor, subcontractor, whoever it is on your team, just do it. It could even be office work. Putting stuff onto a truck.
Yeah.
Something unique. Taking a whole stack of shingles and putting it on those ladders that glide things up, just putting it on there and then just doing that, letting it come back down, putting it back up, and then just showing something that people just haven't seen before. But it has to have some kind of pattern. Once again, you don't need to talk. You don't need to show your face. You don't need to really do anything. You just need to be in the field, look for patterns, look for something that's cool, find out things that people do really in an unusual way, and then just capture it.
That's interesting because it's that day-to-day, right? But so look for day-to-day repetitive patterns that you can film, up and down ladders, maybe, like you're saying, like with the nailing of shingles. All of those things are just repetitive things that happen, but it will stop people's scroll by filming them.
Yeah.
So now what I like about that one, and for our audience, and I know our audience, I know these contractors, I know you guys out there, A lot of you don't like your face on video. You don't like to talk on video. So there's the solution for you right there, at least a starting point, right? Stop the scroll. And if you want ideas about this, man, American Contractor Show, John Dye has some really cool content on TikTok. America's the world's greatest roofer, TJ McCormick, has some great content on TikTok. TikTok is probably a great place to find ideas for this type of content. Would you say?
Absolutely. So that's
Yeah.
actually how I figured out some of the best performing content was I would just start scrolling. I would type into the search engine or the search bar roofing. That's literally all I typed in. And you just get this feed of roofers and roofing related stuff. And I would look over at the right hand side, like how many likes, how many comments, how many shares. And that would let me know what's doing really well and what's not.
Yeah.
And what I found was anything that had a visual pattern, anything that got people to stop the scroll, even something as simple as just waving at the camera
Yeah.
and then pointing down or pointing whatever direction and then just panning to the thing and then just doing the thing, gets people to stop the scroll and watch.
Yeah. So there's an example right there. Pull out your phone, point at the camera, or point to the side of the camera that you're going to turn the camera to. Turn your camera and have the crew doing their thing, and building that roof. Turn it back, give a thumbs up. There's your video. Something like
100%.
that. Right?
100%.
So those are great ideas. I love that. And that's it. It can be that simple. Everyone, it can be that simple.
Yeah.
But
so
this is how you capture that engagement.
Absolutely. So this isn't in the list of things that we wanted to talk about, but on that, so on TikTok, I've been seeing a lot of people's reactions to other videos, and it's called dual mode, I believe. And so you're taking a video. It could be something related to your industry. It could not be related to your industry, but all you're doing is you're just capturing your facial reaction to the thing you're watching. And I've seen a ton of reactions to those as well. So I don't want to be the big ambassador for TikTok, but TikTok has really revolutionized the way that we consume social media content, or even how we produce social media content. So it has the dual mode where you're side by side with the video that you're watching and it's just capturing your reaction. It has your follow-up. So you're posting something related to the thing that you're watching or the segment that you're watching. So it could even be industry related. It could not be industry related, but it could actually lead us to the next part of what I wanted to talk about, which is the 1 minute why video, core value stories. So the core value stories comes in 3 parts. I'm going to go really slow with this because people can get lost in the weeds about this. Core value story, what it's all about is just sharing a story and then tying it to your core values and then connecting that to why you do what you do. It's all about the why. And so Simon Sinek, his book is Start With Why. So if your audience is connected to your core value beliefs, the thing, why you do what you do, why you believe what you believe, you're going to have a level of depth in that relationship between people that you don't know and yourself. And then they become part of your tribe. They become part of your fan base. They may not even purchase anything from you yet, but they are aligned with your values. And so maybe they may not buy from you, but they'll be like, you know what? I know a roofer. As a matter of fact, he's like in another state, but my friend who lives in that state, I really like this guy. I would highly recommend. So here's how you create 1 minute why videos. These are also known as core value stories. So start with a 15 to 30 second personal story. It could be anything that has happened in your childhood in the past few years. It could have happened as you were growing up. It could have happened last week. It could have happened just right now. But tell a story. And then once you finish that story, it has to have a start and a brief finish. Tie that to your core value or your belief. And the way that starts is, I believe ... And then from there, you're going to tie that to your the thing that you do, why you do what you do, and you start with that's why. So, story, I believe, that's why. Keep it short, keep it simple. So, perfect. So, I'm going to set up an example. Okay. So, Jim asked me to do a podcast with him. This is actually the very first podcast I've ever done. I've never done a podcast before. I've never been a guest on a podcast. Never thought I'd ever be one. And so I was nervous as hell. But I knew that if I knew what I was going to talk about and I wrote it down, I'd be able to kind of at least get through it. I believe that in order for you to be able to deliver on a podcast or even be prepared for a podcast, think about what you're going to talk about, write it down, get clear on the message, and get clear on where you're going to end it. That's why you should always write down your notes on your phone, on a piece of paper, and keep it right in front of you so that you don't look and sound like a bumbling idiot on a podcast. I'm Kevin Lee.
That's awesome, man. And that's what you need, the framework, right? That's what I was talking about. I think that's the key to it. So let's review the framework.
Framework. Once again, start with a story that's about 15 to 30 seconds to tell, short and brief. Tie that to your core value or your belief and start that with I believe. From there, tie that to what it is that you do. So that's why ... So it could be anything at all, but story, I believe, that's why. And then you just finish it with your name. I'm Kevin Lee. The whole purpose behind this core value story or the 1 minute why video isn't to sell. Your goal is to not sell here. Like, you don't want to sell. People can sniff out a sales video very quickly. So if you're kind of leading the story and then all of a sudden it's like, by the way, if you're interested, I have this thing right here. You can buy it on Amazon. And it puts a sour taste in their mouth. It's not good. So don't sell. Just tell a story, make it entertaining, make it engaging, and make it true and genuine to who you are. And that's it.
Awesome, man. Those are great because they're connection tools, right? They really connect the dots. They build trust. It allows people to get to know you on a different level, right? And that's where the conversation changes when you're having at the kitchen table with the homeowner.
Yeah.
And they already know you. They already know that they share some of your same values. They already know those things about you. So much easier conversation. Lottie, that pen moves a lot faster on that contract, right? On that contingency, like in doing that. Now they have that content, right? You have your scroll stoppers, your 1 minute videos. What's another piece of the vertical stack?
All right. So people have a hard time calling themselves experts because we've experienced so many experts. We've heard of all the experts. We've seen all the experts out there. And it's one thing to call yourself an expert, but it's another thing to show why you're an expert. And so this next kind of video is called the how-to video. Think of every YouTuber you've ever seen out there, every time that you've searched on YouTube how to do something, all the different videos that are out there. And if you actually decided to look at all the engagement, all the comments, all the likes, and all the views, there are tons of them. And in the YouTube space, we have 3 types of videos. We have help, hub, and hero. Help content is the kind of content that people search for that will get you a ton of traffic, a ton of views, because people are actually searching for these things. Again, YouTube is the second largest search engine out there, next after Google itself, right? So if you're creating how-to videos that you can put on both social media and on bigger platforms like YouTube, imagine all the engagement, all the views, and how often your content's going to show up. But again, you don't necessarily need a fancy camera to do that. You could just take your phone and start with, hey, so today I'm going to show you something about something. Today I'm going to show you 3 things to look for right after you've had storm damage. Point to the roof, point to the windows, point to the trees. And then finish with, so now that you know these things, you're fully aware. I want you to go out and make sure to check these things. And beyond that, if you have any questions, reach out to me, check out my website, visit me on LinkedIn, visit me on Instagram, or DM me on Facebook. Simple, doesn't take very long, doesn't take much production behind it. And it's just a selfie video that you're just pointing at things and just creating insight and knowledge. And this is the kind of stuff that you want. This is the kind of stuff that's within the trade that either the tradesmen don't want you to know, or maybe they do want you to know, because the more educated you are as a consumer, the better you're prepared to actually work with a tradesman.
Yeah, that's a good point. So in thinking of what you could think about it as what you would like your prospects to know, right? Before you get out there. Hey, this is what to look for in a storm damage situation. A, B, and C. Call me if you need assistance. I'll come out and do a full inspection and do a complete damage report of your roof, right? So
absolutely.
Yep. Call me here. So how-to videos are really, really effective in that it shows your expertise, right? It builds your expertise to those customers. And especially in contracting, that's a big challenge, right? There are so many horror stories about contractors and how terrible what kind of job they did, and that this is a real important piece to the puzzle. They don't have to be long, extensive presentations on how to hit the key points, and you'll be able to showcase your value and your expertise to those customers.
Totally. So let's say even on TikTok's recording tool allows you to record 15-second segments, 60-second segments, and 3-minute segments. So if you wanted to break up your whole process, do the 15-second segment, hold the record button down. So say something like, hey, today, this is Kevin. Today, we're going to talk about whatever that is. Let go of it, move on to the next part. We're going to record 15 seconds. We're going to talk about what to do, why you should do it, and what not to do, and what to look for. Let it go, and then move on to the first thing. 15 seconds, explain it. Move on to the next thing, 15 seconds, explain it. Move on to the next thing, 15 seconds, and explain it. And then finish with, so there you have it. I just showed you 3 things to do and not to do when it comes to ... Let it go, record again. Now your call to action. Hey, so if you're ever in a situation where you think you have a problem with this, please reach out to me. Have a great day. And that's it.
Yeah. With that, have you found that can you download those videos and use them on other platforms after they're edited? That's a good feature of TikTok. I never thought of that.
I love that feature.
Yeah, I never thought of that. That is really cool. So it's essentially a video editing tool for you while you're using it. That's awesome.
100%.
Cool. So now they have the scroll stoppers. They have the 1-minute video. They have the how-to video. What next is another option?
Next is probably my favorite and the most powerful video you could do. And that is the 3-question testimonial or interview. So let me kind of preface this by saying that this recent video that I did for one of the companies that I work with, we were on site. We were doing an installation of a pool. And usually when we do these installations, there's this giant crane that moves these big, giant concrete pools and drops them in. And so it becomes a spectacle. So people are from the neighborhood are just rolling in, but also other builders and installers are coming through and they're like, I want to see how this works because maybe I want to use this for myself. And so this one builder happens to be there and he's just loving everything that he's seeing. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to drop everything I have right now, all my other camera gear. I'm just going to do this quick interview. I asked him, so what do you think about this? And he risked for a few seconds. And I said, how do you think this will work for your business? And he answered, and I said, okay, so what would you say to somebody who's on the fence, who's never experienced this, who's never seen this before? And then he riffed on it. Did that recording. I even included my questions. I didn't edit it. I just posted it right to the company's Facebook page. And to date, that video, that was only like 4 weeks ago. To date, that video is crushing all the other videos that the marketing team is putting out there and putting tons of ad spend against. That one video I literally put out for $2 a day. And the views, the link clicks are just through the roof because it's engaging. It's authentic, and it's just a person talking, and it's not salesy. So to that, the 3-question testimonial or interview is where you're actually either pointing the camera at somebody or you're holding the phone and doing a selfie version where you're in the view with them and you're just asking them the question. So they're talking to you and not necessarily looking at the camera. And so it takes the camera shyness away because they're just talking to you, having a conversation. But all you have to ask them are just 3 questions. It could be any 3 questions at all. But the ones that I have listed today are A, what did we do today or what was the problem that you needed solved? B, the second question, what did you learn or experience today? So let them share what they learned, because that's part of the experience. It's not just having something done for you, but what did you learn? What did you gain? What value did you gain out of it? What insights did you gain out of it? And that's a loaded question. Sometimes people go and like, not only just share what they learned, but how that made them feel about what they learned. It could have just blown their mind. They could have said, oh my gosh, if I had known this before, I would have totally saved myself thousands of dollars of having to go through several contractors to fix this one thing. That's totally awesome. And then the last question C, what would you say to someone who's on the fence about working with us? Because there's always a barrier. There's always why should I work with this person instead of somebody else?
Yeah.
And that is very much a logical or even an emotional question. Why would you want to work with us? And if there is something that's a barrier, maybe they don't know who you are. They may not be familiar with your brand. They may need to know how many certifications and if you're licensed and all that stuff. Let the customer explain why they should actually work with you. It's one thing if you tell them like why you should work with us, but if a third party says, hey, you got to work with these people because ... it has so much more weight to it.
Yeah.
So,
and I've had one of my previous podcast guests, Gilad Rubinsky from Rubinsky Roofing down in Dallas, and his team does such a great job of that client testimonial. Like every time, man, they're pulling out their phone and having a quick conversation, and the the impact that has on an ongoing basis, right? Like those videos on social media, when someone goes to look your company up and see, hey, they're researching you, trying to make their decision, they see that in other people's words, not like a different type of video where, more of a, like what you might do in a big video shoot where it's calls to actions and why you should work with us, how we can benefit you as the homeowner. Now you're bringing it back into it, putting it in other words. So simple questions, right? What did we do today? What was the problem that you needed solved, right? Storm came through, you had damage on your roof, and that was the problem. What did you learn? Well, we learned that, the insurance process is a challenge sometimes. And so, it took some time, but Joe's Roofing took care of that and helped us through that process and helped deal with, helped with that, helped us understand and have the proper expectations. And then what would you say to someone who's working on the fence of working with us? Man, that's, they're just going to lay it out there. Like there's no, but they're just going to lay that out there. And that conversation in a video for your social media, for all of your platforms, in an ad on social media, in anything, on a landing page for pay-per-click, on all of this stuff, in an email that you send to them in between, your appointments, the time that you set the appointment and the time that you go out to do the inspection. Hey, this is what some of our other customers think, or have the experience that other customers have had with us. Prefacing that and getting that content in front of them, and that conversation in front of those prospects before you even have that conversation, right? Very powerful stuff. Absolutely. So we have the scroll stopper, the 1-minute video, the how-to video, the 3-question testimonial or interview kind of video. What else is in the vertical stack?
Hold on. I want to go back to the 3-question testimonial. So you don't necessarily have to be in the field with your customer to do it. Okay. Sometimes your CSR, or whoever's taking the call or doing the follow-up after the fact, like it's just doing a week later check-in, doing a Zoom call, you could do the same exact thing. So if for whatever reason you miss it in the field, that whoever's doing the customer service, the customer relations stuff, the follow-up later, they have the opportunity to do it via Zoom. All they have to just say is, hey, by the way, do you mind if we do just record this one section of the Zoom call? And I just want to ask you 3 simple questions, and I would love for your feedback. And there's that recording. Now, here's the extra added benefit and the added value to that. We talk about in my process about developing your avatar, right? Knowing your ideal customer. These customer testimonials they represent your market. They represent your audience. So you're taking down all these notes. You can transcribe them, archive it, and that way you can revisit these conversations and the things that they say, and you can pull copy, headlines, features, benefits, all sorts of stuff. So if you're not doing these 1-minute, 3-question testimonial interviews, you're shooting yourself in the foot on so many levels, because you're missing out on marketing opportunities. You're missing out on social media content, but more importantly, you're also missing out on who is your ideal customer and how you can continue to add value to your customers by providing that same level of service. Maybe you get a bad review. Obviously, you don't post it, but at least you have those 3 things that you can ask. And those are just example questions. You can customize it to your business model. You can ask questions like, so how did that one problem make you feel? Talking about the emotional aspect, like talking about the distress. And then later in your marketing content, as you're strategizing, you're talking about the problem. And if you really want to get under the skin of the viewer, talk about the pain, talk about the frustration, talk about all the things that are getting to them, that's keeping them up at night, because those were the answers that came from your previous customers.
Yeah, those answers will be valuable for sure.
100%. Yeah,
for sure.
So
hearing it from them, hearing them verbalize it, for sure.
Yeah, and just leveraging it for everything else. That's a huge thing. So the next one. So I'm just going to drop as many bombs as I possibly can, but this one is the one that I think messes people up very easily because they try to overthink it. And there's a lot of methods, a lot of ways to make this next video. And I know that I struggled with it at first, but once I got the framework down and I figured it out, it's become really, really easy. And it's actually been a cornerstone of the kind of content that I create. And these are called the widgets. These are also known as 1-minute what videos. So we started with why, we went into how, now we go into what. This is the opportunity for you to sell your offer, your product, your service, promote yourself, and actually have a call to action. It's very structured. These are also known as direct response ads. So there's some kind of hook at the very beginning. You're talking about some pain points. You're talking about common band-aids or ways of approaching it and why that sucks. And here's your solution. And then here's how it works. And here's the call to action. So it starts with the hook point. It's usually the first 3 seconds. It's the scroll stopper. Remember, we talked about this at the very beginning. Yep. So if you've been recording scroll stopping videos, you just need 3 seconds to get them to stop scrolling, capture their attention, and then get right to whatever it is that you're talking about. You really want to keep it as relevant as possible to the subject matter. So if you're going to, but then again, this is modern age and TikTok, you can just throw up some random video of a cat falling off of a tree and bouncing onto its feet, and that stops the scroll, and you can get right to talking about roofing. It's random. So that first part of the video is just within the first 3 seconds. It's your hook point or scroll stopper clip. From there, you're moving on to presenting the common problem. So when it's tied to roofing, let's just talk about severe weather seasons. So severe weather seasons are nuts. It's inevitable, and it's only a matter of time before your roof gets damaged, your siding gets damaged, your windows get damaged. It's awful, and it does nothing but cause a ton of stress to you, and it keeps you up at night because you know that that's your investment. It sucks to have it completely damaged. More importantly, it sucks when you have to deal with the insurance companies. So you're presenting the problem. You're mentioning the frustrations, the emotional effects of it. That's the next part. So we have the hook point, we present the problem, and now we talk about the frustrations. It's the thing that keeps you up at night. Even mentioning, like, it keeps you up at night. It stresses you out. Your family's not happy. Your family's not safe. And it really stresses you out, and it's frustrating, and it makes you feel less of a person knowing that there's nothing that you can actually do about it. Oh, but wait, there is something you can do about it. And that is presenting the fork in the road. You could either go the hard route or the easy route. The easy route is always your route. It's always your solution. But if you present the hard route, what are the other options? Do nothing about it, run away from it, try to solve it yourself, which, let's face it, not everybody's that handy, especially when it comes to roofing. They don't all have the tools. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the experience to diagnose a problem and fix it themselves. Or they could hire Chuck on a truck, one of those random mobile roofers. I don't know how many mobile roofers you have, but the storm chasers, right? The ones that show up after something happens, and then you might get somebody that's reputable. You might not get somebody that's reputable. You just don't know. You're putting your home and your family's safety at risk by going the hard route. You could also go the easy route by going with us. And so you mention yourself, you present how your business, your brand makes life easier. That's the next step. So with us, we're licensed, bonded, insured. We show up, we properly diagnose everything. We'll make sure that you fully understand all the options so that you can make the best choice for your family and for your household. And then we go to the next part. So you can. This is one of the most important parts, is empowering them, reminding them that you're helping them transition from a tough place to a better place, and you're removing that point of friction. So you can. So if point A is having your home damaged and feeling stressed out and insecure, and where you want to be is feeling safe and secure and being able to go on and live your life as you normally want to, or as you normally would, that's the point B. So you would say, so you can live the life that you want to live. So you can go back to feeling safe and secure again. So you can focus on the things that matter most to you. So reminding them that the problem isn't necessarily the problem. The damage isn't the problem. It's the way that you feel, the displacement is what you're dealing with, and you want to get back to feeling normal again. So that is very, very important. It's not the common problem. It's not the the decision that you have to make. It's none of that stuff. It's not even the technical or the how you do what you do. The most important thing is reminding yourself that you're helping your customer go from point A to point B, and understanding that and making sure to mention that in the video. So you can go back to the way things were before your house was damaged. We'll just say that. Now the call to action aspect. So for me, so if you're in the DFW area and you just experienced severe damage to your home and you're concerned that your house might not be safe in the near future, then visit our website. That's the call to action. Give us a call or send us a DM down below, whatever that's going to be. So as a summary, the widget video is all about presenting a problem and presenting yourself as a solution, and then giving them a call to action. Those are the three key points. But if you want to really break it down, it starts with the scroll stopper. Present the problem associated with your general subject. Mention the frustrations or the emotional effects of the problem. Present the fork in the road, either the hard way or the easy way, you being the easy way. Then present how you solve their problems in the best way you can, in the shortest way you can. And then present so you can, so they can get back to feeling normal again, so they can get to point B. So you take them from point A to point B. And then finish it with so if you're. So you're specifying who it is that you're directing this commercial or this ad or this message to, so that it qualifies the person that's watching it and disqualifies the people who don't need to watch this or don't need to do business with you. And then the call to action, whether it's your website, your Facebook, your email, phone number, whatever that's going to be.
Yep. And that's the important part of those what videos too, that those have the call to action, right? You're expressing a pain point that they have, a solution to that pain point, and call us for that solution, right? So that's different than the how-to video or things like that, right? That this is, the 1 minute why video or the scroll stopper. So now this gives you, as a business owner, as a roofing business owner, it gives you multiple opportunities, multiple frameworks, right? Now you have a variation in your content that you're creating and putting out there to the world. It's not all sell, right? It doesn't have to be sell. Gary Vaynerchuk, I think I mentioned him earlier, wrote a great book called Jab, 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 Right Hook. Jab is content. The right hook is the ask. So what you're doing is providing value, providing your expertise over and over and over again. That could be in the form of a how-to video. It could be in the form of someone hearing from your current customer in the 3-question testimonial video, or your 1 minute why video. And then the right hook is that what video. Call us now. Absolutely. Right? Let us solve your problem. Let us take care of your roofing needs. So there's a lot to this. I mean, you unpacked a lot today, Kevin. Like, that is a lot of information. And so this might be one that you guys have to go back on, right? And listen to these parts over and over again. Or you could also follow Kevin, get a hold of Kevin at I am Kevin Lee, I'm sure.
Yep, it's I'mKevinLee.com.
I'mKevinLee.com. YouTube, I am Kevin Lee. Where else are you? I am Kevin Lee. TikTok, I am Kevin Lee.
So TikTok, for whatever reason, they wouldn't let me put I am Kevin Lee. So it's Kevin. Yeah, I want to say it's Kevin Lee 1 or I'm Kevin Lee 1.
Okay.
Like, for whatever reason, they have to have a number to it. Yes, absolutely. And so this whole thing is part of a bigger system that I call the video launch map. And so within the video launch map, back to your point early on in the conversation, is that I actually sit down with with the contractor, and we actually talk about their business model, what they're about, why they exist, why should somebody care, and really dive into the business aspect, and more importantly, the currencies that they exchange for the customers' dollars. Like what do they do for the customers, and what problems do they solve, and how does that benefit the customer? Then we also get into the signature messaging. Like, what is that messaging? What is the core messaging? And if somebody were to ask you, what do you do? Are you just going to be like, I'm a contractor? Or do you give them something to really lean into and be like, okay, I've never heard somebody say that before. Tell me more. And in that process, what that does for the contractor is it gives them more clarity, and also it makes them more confident about what they do and how they share it. So when it comes time to actually doing it in front of video, they've practiced it, they've talked it out, they've heard themselves say it. So it makes it a lot easier for them to share. And then we go through the process of creating these videos and then more, and then it becomes a part of a bigger system for an entire year's worth of content that we end up shooting across 2 days.
Yeah.
And it's a whirlwind, but it's a lot of fun, and you learn a lot about the process, and you learn a lot about yourself. But it's also, I teach you how to shoot your own content too.
Yeah. And that's the greatest part of it is when you've come out with our clients, is that it's this whole thing, right? It's the year's worth of content. But it's the ongoing, and it's learning in those preliminary sessions. It's that learning about your business. So that's the most important thing, is being able to express the differentiation between your company and the next company to your perfect customer through video, through your ad copy, through your messaging, through your visual, your visual imagery in your graphic design, whether it's your logo and things. All of that it's hard to do sometimes, and being asked the right questions is sometimes what needs to happen for you to get down that road. So it's been awesome, man. I appreciate your time. You've provided so much value. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. If you would like to generate more sales through your digital marketing efforts, please visit roofermarketers.com and get a copy of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors: How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. Also, check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to how to properly set up your Google My Business listing. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Thanks for listening.